भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. So yesterday we were seeing यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकम् असत्कल्पार्थकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयति आश्रितान् यत् साक्षात्करणात् भवेन्न पुनरावृत्तिर्भव अम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये. Then as the next development he talks about the existence, experience of self. He said sakshat tattvamasiti. So always that is yet sakshat karanat yasyeva spuranam. Yasyeva spuranam, that is the key word. Yasyeva spuranam, because of whose existence, experience, existence of experiential nature, everything gets that nature. Everything gets the quality of being experienced. Everything gets the quality of being existence. So when the inert cannot have any of this, we saw this yesterday. So he is going to explain that how does it happen. Nana chidra ghatodara sthitam mahadeepa prabhabhaswaram ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणद्वारा वहि स्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभात् एतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. नानाच्छिद्र घट उदरस्थित महादीप प्रभाभास्वरम ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादि करणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति एतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्ति. To that Guru in the form of Dakshinamurti, to that Dakshinamurti who is in the form of Guru, whichever way, there is no issue here. I do my salutation. Which kind of Dakshinamurti? Nana Chidra. Nana means multiple. Chidra means holes. Ghata Udarastha. Ghata means pot. Udarasthita Deepa. Mahadeepa. Udarasthita. In its belly, there is a big lamp. Prabhabhaswaram. It's light. It's effulgence. What happens to the light which is kept inside like this? The light is on top of it. If you keep the lamp inside this, what will happen to the light? It will escape through all the gaps, all the holes. The light will shine through all the holes. So that is why he says Jnanam yasya tu chakshuradi dwara vahispandate. Similarly, this jnanam, this knowledge through the sense organ, this knowledge is the self. This self through the sense organ travels to the external world. Vahi dwara vahispandate. It goes to the external world. And how do you know this? Janamiti. I know this part. I know that. When I say I know, that is the knowledge of the self. So he says, Tameva Bhantam. Because of the effulgence of that self, everything gets illumined. You say I know because the self is self-effulgent. If the self is not self-effulgent, there is no possibility of saying I know. The object is there. That's all. I cannot say I know. We are discussing about the artificial intelligence and other implications. The artificial intelligence does not say I know. It says I see an object. An object is sensed, not even I. An object is sensed. That's all. So that is why he says nana chidra, multiple. So how does it happen? So the example is very clear. You place a lamp inside the pot, and the pot has multiple holes, and the light travels through those holes, and you experience that light everywhere. Similarly, there is this lamp inside, the lamp of self, the effulgence of self. And how do you know that there is effulgence of self? Because each sense organ is the orifice. Each sense organ is the gap through which the self travels. Does the self travel outside? No, as though. You have to understand the self is not bound by the body sense organ complex. It is as though bound by the body sense organ complex. Why do we have to say as though bound by the? Because myself is bound by my body sense organ complex. Yourself is bound by your body sense organ complex. That is how we understand, right? So that is not so. The self is as though bound by the body sense organ complex. That is what first we have to understand, because there are not multiple selves. We have established that. There is only one non-dual self. So the self does not have any kind of duality. The duality of the form of a same class, the duality of the form of different class, the duality in itself. Any kind of duality the self does not have. We have said this. So this self, which is inside, but inside means it is bound, right? No, as though bound. How? We have this beautiful example. That is why I carry this pot always. We have this beautiful example of pot. Okay. So, okay, I'll have only one pot now. So, there is this room, the room space we call that. Okay. Now I create the pot. What happened to the room space? It is limited by the pot space. So, there is one pot space which is different from the room space. Is that how we see? No. The room space is what is limited by the pot space. The room space is not different from the pot space in that aspect. The room space is as though limited by. When the pot breaks, there is no room space, pot space. So, similarly, when I say there are two pots now, this pot space and that pot space. So, this pot space is different from that pot space, true, but are they different from the room space? So, that is what the problem is. We see this embodiment that is differentiating the room space as the real existence, because of which we don't understand the room space. All the ego is centered around this pot space without even understanding the pot space. This is a beautiful thing. Actually, in multi-storied buildings, we buy houses. Okay, in US and all, they have so many 65 stories extra. So you buy a house in 12th story or 15th story. Okay, what are you buying? You are buying a space. You don't own the ground. You are buying the space. The space which is covered by some room, some walls. And if it is in Ireland, the walls are not even real. The walls are also not real. So you are as though separated from the other house. In reality, there is no separation. You are only, you say, this is my house. This is your space. You have bought that space. Because like tomorrow, you decide to remove this wall. What happened to this room? This room space has merged with that room space. So the divisions we see They are all as though divisions. They are not real divisions. So similarly, now when we take this, there is this room and these are different parts which are as though seemingly differentiating the room space. There is no part space in reality. Because the part exists, you say part space. But in reality, the part space is nothing but the room space. This limiting adjunct is what makes it different from the room space. It differentiates itself from the room space and thinks, I have my own existence. I am different. I am separate. All that stupidity. So here also he says, Nana Chidra Ghata Udarasta. In the different, through the different holes of the pot, the lamp which is placed inside the pot, the light travels through. Light travels through those holes, different holes, from the lamp placed inside the pot. So similarly, what happened? What happens here? Jnanam, this knowledge which exists inside, it travels through the sense organs. Each and every sense organ it travels. So when I see the pot, what happens? We don't see the pot. My eye does not see the pot. We say, my eye see the pot. Only I can see the pot. That's a different thing. But when I say the eye sees the pot, do we really accept it that way? If eye sees the pot, pluck the eye and keep it. Will that eye see the pot? If eye sees the pot, the eye should see the pot with or without the association with the body. No, does not happen so. So the sense organ have a value only when it is associated with a body. Now even then, if this sense organ, if I am plucking this eye and placing it for a goat, because there was a politician in India who had a goat eye, will that goat eye be used for seeing objects? Can that be? I don't have any idea. I don't think it is possible. I don't think it is qualified to see. So even if it is in a body, it is not that body which it belongs to. So if my eyes are plucked and they are placed in a goat or a dog or a donkey, it will not see. See, the eyes can't see independent of the body. The eyes can't see when it exists in something else other than the body, even though it is an embodiment. So the eye has to, again, it is plucked from me and it is placed in another being, another human being. Now it is possible. The eye will see the objects. True. But is it the same thing as we see? I see the spot. Does the other eye also see the spot? Of course. The transparent is only for that. I see the spot as beautiful. Will that eye in that body, will my eye in that body see the spot as beautiful? May not be. Remember the beer holder. Beauty is not the beholder, beer holder. So, so the eyes does not see the same object in the same way when it is associated with another different object, with a different being. So, jnanam, how do we see the object? That is what we are discussing about. We see through the eye. That is what we say. We see through the eye. The eye don't see it. How does the eye see it? We have the science which says the object travels, the light from the object travels through the eye and it creates an impression in the brain and all that. We have that. And the brain, like the cell phone selfie camera, there are some selfie cameras where it corrects itself. So like that, the brain corrects itself. That is what the science teaches us. What the Shastra teaches us is a different thing. The mind travels through the sense organs to the object. The mind travels through the sense organ to the object. Bam, that's a problem. Why? If the mind travels through the sense organ, where will it return to? It traveled outside my sense, through my sense organ, outside my body, and it will search for where to go. Oh, that I will go there. So I will send my mind, and the mind will give the object knowledge to some other person. That's a problem. So how do we see in Vedanta? Do you see? See, my mind travels through my sense organ, but it doesn't know to come to my sense organ because there is no connection which I have given to that sense organ. So it will enter some other body probably, and I will never get the object knowledge. So how do we see? So the mind transforms itself into a sense organ. We saw this in the first day, like the river which is channelized and sent to the field. So the water which is coming through the channel takes the form of the field. Similarly, the mind, here also the same explanation. The mind transforms into a thought function. That thought function with one side connection to the base travels through the sense organ and reaches the object, and engulfs. First it removes the veiling of ignorance from the object and becomes of the form of object, takes the form of the object. The transformed, the mind thought function which just come through the sense organ, that takes form of object. When the thought function takes the form of object, since it is connected directly to your mind, there is always a connection. The thought function doesn't, it's not like an arrow, it goes through and it's lost. No, there is a connection between your mind and the thought function. When they are in same page, that is important. When they are same page, the mind and the thought function, the object, the mind and the object, when they are of the same model, of the same object, then I say I see the object. I don't understand. What does that mean? I'm seeing the object, but am I really seeing the object? Just because we have our eyes open and we see things, do we really see things? What were you seeing? What happened? No, I was thinking something else. What does that mean? If you say I was thinking something else, the words which I said didn't enter your ear. Similarly, when you are seeing an object, when you are seeing really, but you are not really seeing, because many times it happens in the class, our mind travels outside, so we don't see the person, see the class, what is happening. So when my mind is in the same page as the object, when the mind is in the same page as the object, if it's of the same form as the object, only then will I see the object. Otherwise, we will only say my mind was somewhere else. I could not see the object. It was in front of you. I didn't see. He was going across you. I didn't see. This is what happens. Even if God comes and stands in front of you, you will say, I didn't see. Why? Your mind is not here. Mind is not here. So you will not recognize. So that is why we have to understand how is the object objectified? The mind transforms into thought function, travels through the sense organ, reaches the object, engulfs the object, and when that happens, When the mind is of the same nature as the object, I say, I see the pot. When the mind is of the same form as the object, I say, I see the pot. I say, I know the pot. I know is what is janami. Janami. तो ज्ञानम यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरण द्वारा वही स्पंदते, that jnanam is what is say. So like the effulgence, the light through travels through the orifice of the vase, similarly the knowledge travels through the orifices. What are the orifices? The sense organs. Sense organs are the means to for the mind, for the knowledge to travel externally. So that is when you say janami, I know. Third line, janami. How do you say janami, I know? Because this cup does not say, I know there is water in it, me. It does not say, it does not recognize the water. Whether you pour in water or you pour in coffee, it does not recognize, it does not distinguish. But I asked for coffee and they gave me tea. I say, you have given me tea? Why didn't you give me coffee? Why is this water? So I say, because I see how do now they have these machines. We have to come to that again and again. They have these machines which you have to dip in water or whatever. It will tell you temperature. Some machines we have everywhere here. And there are these machines which will tell how much spice in it is there or how much salt is there in it. I dread that actually. If there is a ladle which says that how much spice, actually if this ladle is artificial intelligence enabled, these are all artificial intelligence kind of. If it is artificial intelligence enabled, then it will spit on us. What kind of? Don't even take me close to that. Many times when we cook, it is like that. So this janamiti, janami, I know. How do I say I know? Because not because of the mind, not because of my intellect. When I say mind, the psychologists have this beautiful word of way of saying the mind. Just tell me where the mind is. Just tell me where the mind is. Pinpoint the location of mind. They'll think that it is brain. That is not mind. When I go, you prefer to yourself in the heart area. Is that the mind? I was thinking when I go. So the mind, when you meditate, place your mind in the heart. When you say place your mind in the heart, then what does that mean? The mind is not in your brain. If it is fixed in the brain, how can you say place the mind in the heart? Place the mind in the external object. How can you do that? If the mind is a fixed object in your body, you cannot send it to different locations. If it goes to different location, then it is not a fixed thing. It's not a fixed thing. It is not an object as you see the object, as you understand what object is. That is why in Vedanta, the metaphysics of Vedanta, we say the mind is a product of unprocessed elements. The mind is a product of unprocessed element. It's not a it is not a product of processed elements. You cannot fix it. It's so subtle. We have a shloka to explain the speed of Hanumanji. Hanuman is the monkey god, like they say, monkey god. How fast is he? For that, they say, Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam. Manojavam. Fast like a mind. What? Fast like a mind? Yes. Close your eyes. Think of the moon. When they take you to meditation, they say, close your eyes. Think of the moon. What happens? Your mind is in the moon, not here. For many people, it is in the moon always. That is the problem. That is why they say lunatic. So the mind travels so fast. It goes there and it comes. Meaning, mind is not an object like you see the objects. Mind is not an object as you understand object. So he says the thought function goes through the object. Why are we discussing this? You cannot say my brain thinks about it. My brain understands. You cannot say that. Because there is the dead body which has a brain, but it does not understand. There is dead body which has a brain. No. You don't understand the science. There is no blood vessels which travel to the brain. Very good. I understand the logic. Okay. Now, this fellow, he does not understand anything. Why? He is in coma. What happens to him? He is unconscious. He does not understand anything. And we are not even talking about a person who is dead. We are talking about person who is in coma, who is in unconscious state, who is in deep sleep. The brain is having its blood, so it should have to see. No? What happens there? So we have to accept and understand that this is not the brain or the sense organs which see the object. Which see the object. Then what is that? It is the self. Again, there is another confusion. How can the self see the object? Why? Because the self is that which does not have any attributes. Not sense organs. Self is that which does not have any attributes. An attributeless self cannot see, cannot be associated with attributed object. An attributeless cannot be attached to, associated with attributed object. Therefore, the self does not have the prerequisite to associate itself with the object. To associate with the object, something should be limited. Only limited can be associated with the object. Unlimited cannot be associated with the object. Space. According to science, even according to science, it is, though it is vast, there is an end to it somewhere. So it is not limited. Okay, even if you accept it to be unlimited for argument's sake, do you say the space is attached to associate with the object? No. The object is in space. The object is not associated with space. We say the object is in space, not associated or attached with space. Similarly, this fellow, he says, who? The self. Only when the self exists, we are not talking about life. Because life is there in the person in coma, in the person who is unconscious, in the person who is asleep, but still he is not able to understand. The self is also there in all these three. Why is he not able to understand? Self is there in all these three states. True. But the self is not, the mind is not associated with the self to travel outside the body. You have no idea what is happening inside a person in coma. Because there are people who say out of body experience, etc. Nowadays there is this thing, out of body experience. So we have no idea what is the experience of that person. Only that person should have to come out of coma and say what happened. I know you said that when I was in coma. Maybe when his sense organ is working, he may be able to say that. He may be saying that. So, janami iti, that knowledge presupposes knowledge. I say I know because there is knowledge association in me. Knowledge association in me means the mind, through which I am seeing the objects. Without the mind having an association, as though even it may be, without the mind having any association with the consciousness, with the self, with the knowledge, there can be no knowledge possible. We have seen the inert objects don't see each other. The inert object, one part does not say, hi part. No, doesn't happen. So, I see the object because I have the association with the I, the knowledge, the self. So, that is why I say janami. And that janami also, when do I say? Only when it illumines itself. Janamiti tameva bhantam. Because of its effulgence, the object gets effulgent. Because of the self-effulgent self, the object becomes effulgent. If the self is not effulgent, self-effulgent at that, the object will never have any existence. Meaning, if the self has no existence in itself, then there can be no existence associated with anything. That means object. So that is why he says, janamiti. Tameva bhantam. Only when it illumines, only because of the illumination of it, anubhati, following it. Anubhati means, bhati means bha prakashani, to illumine. Anu means after, following. Only because of the effulgence of the self, following its effulgence, all the things are effulgent. All the things are illumined. Therefore, samastam jagat, all this world, to that Dakshinamurti, my namaskara. Okay. So, next he says, Deham pranamapi indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu stri balandha jadopamasthavaham iti bhranta bhrisham vadina maya shakti vilasa kalpita maha vyamoha samharine tasmai shri guru murtaye namaidam shri dakshinamurtaye. Deham, pranam, api, indriyani, api, chalam, buddhim cha, shunyam viduhu. Whatever we spoke of just now, that the sense organ, the self is the self-effulgent. If the self-effulgence in the sense of existence, if the self does not exist, then anything cannot exist. There can be nothing which can have the existence. No object can exist. If I don't understand that, for explaining that, he is coming to the next shloka. He says, Deham, the body, Pranamapi, also the prana, the vital air, Indriyanapi, also the sense organs, Chalam, Chalam means Chanchalam. Mind is referred to as Chanchala. Chanchalatmakam manaha, that's the definition. Chanchalatmakam means it is not steady, something which is not steady. So he says chalam, the mind, buddhim cha, also the intellect. Nischayatmika buddhi. Buddhi is defined as nischayatmika, something which is determined. So all this, the body, the sense organ, the prana, the mind, the intellect, all these are accepted as a Shunyam cha viduhu, void. People accept all these things as void. So, because of that, what happens? Shunyam viduhu, nothing exists. They are all void. Who are they? Stri, Bala, Andha, Jada, Upamaha. To ahamiti bhrantaha. They think because of this idea, they think like a stri, like a woman, bala, like a kid, andha, like a blind, jada, like a inert. Oh, they think like see, he's saying that like the kid, like a woman, like a like a blind person who cannot see things, they are confused. Bhrantaha. Bhranta means they are confused. They have this erroneous knowledge and blabber something. Brisham vadinha. They blabber. They don't speak properly because they think everything is void. Why is he talking about kid does not understand, okay, right? Andha, he does not see, so he may not understand what is there. But stri also. He's saying stri also. Because like the word chala there, chala means chalam, chalam, and chalam. Chanchala means disturbed. So chanchala, the mind is something which is turbulent, which is disturbed. Similarly, the same word is used for stri, chanchala. Stri is referred to as chanchala in the Shastras, chanchala. Why? Because of the non-capability of determining. What? Wait. Are we speaking correctly, properly? Why? This is what I think. It's all male chauvinistic teaching. The Shastra is male chauvinistic teaching. I know this. See? They finally come to that. Don't come into any conclusion because we worship the goddess of knowledge, not God of knowledge. Dakshinamurti is God of knowledge. But when we say knowledge, we invariably connect it to Saraswati. Invariably connected to Saraswati. When we talk about wealth, we only say Lakshmi. There is no demeaning, there is no chauvinism here. But the nature is to conclude erroneously. Conclude erroneously because by seeing things, they will not be able to determine in witches because they can be easily emotionally fooled. So, because of the emotionally fooled state, they take decisions. And because of that, I am not talking about any of you, I am talking about all of you. So, so that's a common thing. Because of that, it is they can see. Though we are talking about Saraswati, Lakshmi, etc. Again, we have to see because these are all very sensitive topics. You say something, oh, how is it said like that in the Shastra? We have this example. See what happened. Shankaracharya Bhagavan had a debate with another who later became his disciple called Sureshwaracharya. Then he was Mandana Mishra. So they had to decide on a judge. They could not find any judge close by. So they decided upon Mandana Mishra's wife to be the judge. She is a learned lady. So he said, okay, I have no issue. She is learned, therefore she will decide properly. and they made her the judge. Okay, and she said, okay, she gave both of them a garland and said, whoever's garland becomes dry quickly is the loser. Meaning, if the flowers wither, then that person is loser. Why? Why will the flower wither and flower the garland become dry? Because when you lose your control, when you are in the losing spree, then you lose your control. When you lose your control, your pressure, blood pressure, along with your body pressure increases, and your body heat will increase, and because of which the heat destroys the garland, dries the garland. So that is the uh, deciding factor for winner or loser. So she gave both of them a garland. Okay. Now, cool Shankaracharya Bhagavan, he answered beautifully and he explained things beautifully and he questioned very nicely, which in every which way, though Mandana Mishra was a very smart person, could not answer. Sometimes he faltered and therefore he became angry and therefore he lost. But we are talking about Chanchala. Yes, we are coming to that again. Now, this lady who is a judge didn't falter. She said, okay, my husband lost. And whatever he was decided upon, because they made her the judge for whatever decided upon. So the final thing decision is that he will take to sannyasa if he loses. If Shankaracharya loses, then he will renounce the renunciation and take to a family life. That was the final decision. Now he lost. He has to take to sannyasa. At that point of time, this wife, she says, no, I have a debate with you. I cannot let my husband. Now I have to have a debate with you. After finalizing the judgment, she says, I have to ask you some questions because I am his better half. So you have to defeat me also. This was not the prior decision. They didn't fix this. Okay, I have to defeat you and him for no. But after he lost, she says she has a change of mind. That change of mind is why we call Chanchala. So he says, what happened? Finally, she asked some questions, confusing questions. He said he didn't answer it immediately, though he knew he didn't answer it. He took time and he answered it later and took her husband. And this lady said, okay, she came, she is not accepted to be a simple woman. She is accepted to be an incarnation of the goddess Saraswati, goddess of knowledge herself. So she decided to she decided to depart from this world. So Acharya Bhagavan Bhashyakara said, Shankaracharya ji said, no, please stay here and bless the people. She said, okay, I will follow you people. Wherever you turn back, I will stop there. I will not travel further. Okay, fair enough. But how do I know that you are following me? So she said, okay, you will not see me, but you will hear the jingles of the amulet which she wears. Okay, so you will hear that. Okay, fine. They go, and in one place, Shankaracharya Bhagavan sees this beauty. Like I saw this beautiful photo. On top of a snake, there were frogs sitting over complete. Now, that is not how it was. In that place, the there was a frog which is giving birth, and because it is a rainy period and it is raining, there was a cobra which was opening its fang to protect it from rain. They are natural enemies, natural food, but it was protecting it. So Bhagavan Bhashyakara decided there is no other place other than this place for the right proper place for this Saraswati to stay. So he turned back and he stayed there. That is the place we call as Sringeri today. That is the place we call as Sringeri. That is where Acharya Bhagavan Bhashyakara established one mat, one ashram. Okay. Now we say Stri Balan. That is why Stri is referred to here. Stri, woman. Bala, like a kid. Jada, like Andha, like a blind. So people who cannot precisely decide. So them, like them, Jada Upamastu Ahamiti. They think that I am like a inert. Because there is nothing, everything is void. If everything is void, I, being a void, should be inert, not conscious. So they think I am inert, I am void. Who are they? Brishamvalina Bhrantaha. 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 Bhranta means fools, confused people. Brisham means useless. Vadina means speak. They speak uselessly because of their confusion. Then how did all this come into existence? He says, Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha Samharni. All these came into existence because of Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita. Kalpita, because of superimposition, because of imagination. Imagination of what? The power of Maya. Imagination because of the expansive power of Maya. Vilasa means expansion. Shakti means power. Maya means ignorance. Because of the expansive power of Maya, they start imagining, they start superimposing all these different stupid ideas. That is why they start speaking like this erroneously. They speak. What about you? You tell about yourself. So for that he says, Vyamoha Samharine, that kind of Vyamoha. It's not just moha. It is not just delusion. Vyamoha, special kind of moha. A special kind of delusion. So that delusion, that is, I am the body, I am the sense organ, etc. Or there is no body, sense organ. That is not the Vedanta, but he says everything is void. Sarvam Shunyam. This stupidity, this Vyamoha, Samharine, one who destroys. Samhara means destruction. Samharine means one who destroys. Whom are we talking about? That Dakshinamurti. Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurti. To that Guru Murti, Dakshinamurti, my salutations. That is what he says. We will see this. Om Purnamadah Purnam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.